going on, guys? Snake Eyes here, playing some more Dark Souls 2, and in this video we're going to be doing a weapon showcase, and the weapon we're going to be showcasing today is the Channeler's Trident. Now if you don't know how to get the Channeler's Trident, all you have to do is trade it with Dina and Tilo. You have your best chance at trading a petrified something to them, but you can trade a small, smooth, and silky stone. And I would show you the footage, but I wasn't recording when I got this weapon, but trust me, that's the only way you can get this weapon, and you have a better chance at trading, at getting it if you trade a petrified something. Now we're going to go ahead and go into the moveset. Keep in mind it has an all thrusting moveset, and the R1 is just a regular thrusting attack. Pay attention to the tip of the weapon when I do this R2, and it spins, and it's the same deal when you do it with the rolling attack, same spinning thing. I'll get into that in just a second, but the two-handed R1 is the same thing. The two-handed R2 is actually a dance, and if you guys aren't familiar with Dark Souls 1, this is a weapon that came back from that, and that pretty much buffs your attack and your enemy's attack. I'll get into the tactics of that in just a second, but the rolling attack, I believe, is the same thing, yeah, with the spinning blade, and the running attack is just a standard thrust. It's the same deal with the one-handed running attack. But now we're going to go ahead and get into the details of this weapon. It has a base damage of 130, and since then I've actually upgraded mine to plus 10, so my base damage is at 260. It has a counter strength of 130, and it does 20 poise damage per hit. It weighs 4 pounds, and it has 40 durability. You need 11 strength and 15 dexterity in order to wield it, and it has an E scaling in strength and a C scaling in dexterity. This is definitely a dexterity or a dex build polearm. And in all honesty, it does have its pros and its cons. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the cons, and we can go from there. Now, when I was taking this weapon out on PvP, at first I was having a really good time. The spinning attacks were actually really good, and I thought that it was something unique, and it did some really good damage. But as I was playing, I noticed I started running into people who have the heavier armor sets, like the Havels and the Smelters and the Looking Glass sets. And pretty much when I was doing PvP with them, it was really hard to keep them at a distance. Now, since this weapon does have an all-thrusting moveset, it is best to keep them at a distance. And usually with polearms like this, when you take a stab at them once or twice, it usually staggers them and allows you to kind of keep that distance between you. But with this one, when you're fighting people who have a lot heavier armor, they can pretty much walk through that attack, get in close enough, and land an attack or two. That was kind of a con in my opinion, and also the damage that you do to them when they walk through your attacks like that, it's not really the highest, so that's definitely a big con in my opinion. But in all honesty, this is definitely a weapon that you can use against people who are using medium and light armor, and it's a really good, and that's kind of goes into the pros of this weapon. The major pro that I can think of on this weapon is the fact that it's R2 and its rolling attack. It spins the end of the blade, and pretty much that allows you to get in multiple hits. That's a huge pro, and I like to pair this up with the old Leo ring, and when you do a counter attack and it's one of those, you actually get some pretty decent damage on it. It doesn't give you a counter bonus on each one of those hits, but at the same time, with the initial hit getting a counter bonus and then each hit afterwards getting pretty much added damage, it's definitely a huge pro. And like I said, if you're fighting people with medium to light armor, this is definitely something that can do some serious damage. Some of the tactics, like I said, on this is the fact that you can pair it up with the old Leo ring, and you're going to get the most benefit if you're using it with this weapon, since it does have an all thrusting moveset. Another tactic that you can use, and I was kind of debating with myself whether or not I should say it, but I figured I might as well, since technically it is a tactic, is that you can infuse this weapon with poison, and if you land an R2 or a rolling attack, each hit that you land, if you land all the hits, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get the poison, and if not, what you can do is use a poison throwing knife or a dung pie, and then once you land an R2 or a rolling attack, if they don't get poisoned by that time, just get some distance, stand back, either throw a knife or a dung pie, and that's pretty much going to poison the person. It's kind of cheap in my opinion. I wouldn't recommend doing it if you're fighting medium to light armor, because in all honesty, the weapon as it stands, it does a decent enough damage, and added poison, like I said, is kind of cheap in my opinion. But in all honesty, if you're fighting the people with a Havel set or Smelters or Looking Glass set, in all honesty, it's fair game. the weapon is not good with people who have heavy set. So in all honesty, poison damage when you do it on this weapon is not cheap, mainly because it's kind of cheap for them to use heavy armor, and that's an argument that can kind of go both ways. People say, well, they put the heavy armor in the game. Well, they put poison infusion in this game too, so like I said, it's a two-way street. You can argue it either way. In all honesty, medium to light armor people, I feel like it's kind of cheap. Heavy armor people, they have enough defense, so poison damage is just kind of something that you can use. All in all, the final thoughts on this weapon is that I really do like it. Against heavy armor opponents, it's worthless in my opinion, unless you infuse it with poison, and then it can be an actual weapon that you can bring. But when it comes to medium to light armor people, it's a really good weapon as it is. At plus 10, I was doing some really good work. At the beginning of everything, I was actually having a really good time getting the footage for this weapon, but as I started playing later on and put more time into getting more footage, I noticed that I started running into people with a lot more heavier armor sets, and the fact that they can literally walk through and tank the hits that I was doing and get in close enough to do some of their hits really kind of frustrated me just a little bit. But at the same time, if you put on poison, land an R2 or a rolling attack, you should be fine. And as far as light armor and medium armor opponents go, this weapon can hold its own. One thing that I forgot to talk about is the two-handed R2. I'll just touch down very briefly on that, and that's pretty much gonna buff your attack. It does buff your allies' attack if they're within the area of effect of this special attack, and it does buff them, but it only does it for a short amount of time. I never tried using it for PvP. Maybe it works, but like I said, I haven't really tried it. If you guys have tried it, let me know if it works and if it really makes a big difference, or if it's just something not even worth doing. Half of these fights I just infused this weapon or enchanted this weapon with a crystal magic weapon, and it was doing decent enough for me to hold my own. And all in all, I'm kind of split. This is definitely something that I would use against medium to light armor people. The heavy armor people, in all honesty, I won't use it against them, mainly because there are better pole arms that you can use that are a lot more efficient at its job. The R2 and the rolling attack does not give me enough reason to want to go ahead and use it against heavy armor people. But all in all, like I said, it's a pretty decent weapon. I definitely recommend picking it up and trying it out. Let me know how it goes, and that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, take care.